Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning, and it's a good one for Twins fans who are laughing all their way right now after the start of this season. Last night, they beat up one of the best pitchers in baseball in Garrett Crochet and the Boston Red Sox, and they did it by 1,000 cuts last night. Luke Keyshaw with an RBI double to start things. Here's Ryan Jeffers. Just dumps one in for a base hit. That scores Keyshaw. It's 2-0. Again, this is the bottom of the first inning. Here's Brooks Lee up at the plate. Remember, he's been swinging a better stick. Gets an infield. I don't know what Boston's doing defensively. Jeffers will come in. He'll score. Victor Caratini comes in to score on the error by Trevor Story. It's 4-0. They're not done in the second. Here's Jeffers again delivering with an RBI hit. Byron Buxton comes in to score. Now it's 5-rip. Later in the second, Josh Bell, opposite field power, drives this one to right center off the wall. That's going to score 2. It's 7-0 Minnesota. Like Crochet is getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. He couldn't get anybody out. Victor Caratini hits one to Duluth. 423-foot bomb into the second deck, a 3-run home run. It's 10-0. Ryan Kreidler, who? He unloads for a home run. His first is a Twin. It's 11-0 on the Red Sox. Crochet's line, one of the worst you'll ever see. An inning and 2/3 last night. Byron Buxton with some history here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Drills this one to center for a home run. That's the most home runs hit by a Twin at Target Field. Minnesota rolls 13-6. The final. The Red Sox got some garbage runs late in this one. Again, it was 11-0 Minnesota at one point. The line on Crochet, an inning and 2/3, 9 hits, 11 runs, 10 of them earned. His ERA jumps to 7.58 after what happened last night. Bailey Over, not pictured, was pretty darn good. 6 innings, allowed 7 hits, 4 runs. He can do that when your team scores 11 and struck out 7. Give Minnesota the win, 13-6, the final. They're back at it tonight, game 2 of the set at Target Field. Sonny Gray, former Twin great, going tonight. Of course, led Minnesota that postseason in 2023 and that AL Central title. Mick Abel goes for his first win as a Twin. 0-2 with an ERA north of 6. We'll see if he can pitch like he did last time out. We're talking with Corey Provis on the show on Friday. So we'll see what happens there. And with that, we say good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mic here on this 14th day of April, 2026. Great to be with everyone on a, looks like it could be a warm Tuesday. Looking forward to that with temperatures skyrocketing towards the 70s for the next couple days. So we'll enjoy that. We've earned it after a foot of snow that came on the first weekend of April. First thing I want to say to start our show, I appreciate all the response we got yesterday during our show, including after the show. I got a bunch more feedback, whether it was phone call, text, email, direct message. However, people really responded to our show yesterday, which is always I like to do, is to just jumpstart the conversation, whether it's a topic like we were discussing yesterday or if it's about something run-of-the-mill that we normally hit on the show. This one, though, yesterday seemed to really strike a chord, whether it was with either current or former Shanley parents I heard from, to former players. It was current coaches I heard from as well. So I appreciate that. I got a bit more information. We'll share that in our next segment. We're not going to spend a ton of time on it today, but there are some things I want to share because I've got more information to do that. And I'm not thrilled on some of the responses I got on our post yesterday, and I'll get to that coming up later on in the show. A lot to get to, though, today as we sit here on the 14th of April. As I mentioned, we got a week to go in basketball portal season. It appears that the Bison are done losing players and now starting to add. The Bison women have added a player. We'll introduce you to her later in the show. The Bison men look like Richmond's got a new social media thing where he's announcing, looks like, additions to the roster. I can't wait for him to come back in studio to discuss who made this because it's different. But it looks like the Bison men are being active there. So we'll pass along any info we get on that front coming up later on in the show. A lot to get to today, including mention the new additions for Bison basketball. You'll meet the newest football commit as well, another one out of the state of Minnesota. First time they've gone to this school maybe ever. I have to double check on that. I don't know if they've got a player out of this part of Minnesota. We'll dive into that coming up later on in the show. Now, we have the NBA postseason officially starts tonight. The play-in tournament gets going. Again, we can just, wipe our brow and not have to worry about that after the Wolves played in it for a couple years in a row and sweated that out. Now they have graduated beyond that, and they're in the main tournament. And it starts tonight. Charlotte plays Miami in one game. Portland will play Phoenix in another. These are the 7-8 games tonight. And I remember I needed guidance on this the first time that it was introduced. Now I'm an old veteran that I can understand. The winner of tonight's games are the 7 seeds. That is it. But the losers are not done. Whoever loses tonight's game will play Friday against the winner of tomorrow night's games in the 9-10 matchups. So all hope is not lost for those that are that lose in tonight's matchups there. For the Timberwolves, they're sitting knowing they play Saturday against Denver on a 2:30 start. We'll preview that coming up later on in the week. It seems again that the national experts are heading towards the Nuggets, and rightfully so. I mean, Denver's won 12 games in a row. They're rolling right now. Minnesota, I don't know if they're able to turn that switch on like they did a couple years ago. I just don't know if this is the kind of team that they have. We'll get to that coming up later on in the show. So the NBA regular season is over. The NHL regular season has a couple days left. The Minnesota Wild are playing out the string here. They know who they're playing. They know where they're going to play. We don't know when yet. It's either going to be Saturday or Sunday against the Dallas Stars. Last night, they played their final regular season road game against the St. Louis Blues. Now, I say playing out the string, and it's accurate, but also to the point, though, the Wild have to figure out who's going to be their starting goaltender. And last night was not a ringing endorsement for the Gus Bus last night, facing a team that's not going to the postseason and the St. Louis Blues. And let's just say Gus struggled. That's a goal you cannot allow. They made it a 1-zip game. The Wild came right back. Nick Foligno scores his first as a Wild, his 4th of the year. Then Minnesota took the lead. Danila Yurov on a power play goal. Open in front makes it 2-1 Minnesota after 1. Then they get a shorted goal from Michael McCarron, who's all of 6'8", comes down and scores. Wild are rolling. It's 3-1 until it wasn't. Again, the Blues are not going to the postseason. That's Otto Stenberg scoring. Makes it 3-2. Now we're knotted up at 3. Theo Lindstein, you know him, comes in a beauty of a backhander on Philip Gustafsson. That makes it 4-3. Jake Neighbors has scored to make it 5-3, and they get an empty netter from one of my favorite names in Jimmy Snuggerud, a 6-3 Blues win last night. More disconcerting, again, is what the Wild are going to do in net. Gustafsson had 21 shots faced last night. He only made 16 saves. To me, Jesper Wallstedt likely is going to be the guy, or might have to be the guy, for the Wild in Game 1. I know Gustafsson has the playoff experience because he played against Dallas a couple years ago in 2023 when Minnesota lost to the Stars in the first round, but Wallstedt might be the guy playing better. The Wild have their final game of the regular season tonight at home against the Anaheim Ducks to wrap up the regular season. Then they'll get a few days off with the playoffs beginning either Saturday or Sunday in Dallas. They've got to find a way to win a game there. That's the big thing. Can you get a split like the Wolves? Can they get a split in Denver? I'll never forget it. 2 years ago when they went out to Denver and won the first 2 games, we all were thinking, holy cow, this is going to happen. Then what happened? The Nuggets won the next 3. Then the Wolves won the epic Game 6 by 40, and then we all remember what happened in Game 7. For the Wild, they're just looking to get out of the first round. Has not happened since 2015. Think about that. 2015. The Wild have had good teams. They've been to the postseason and just have not been able to get out of the first round. They got a heck of a team. I mean, they won 45 games this season. They've had a really good year. Can they find a way to get past one of the best teams in the NHL? That's the irritating part of the NHL playoff format. It's the last time I'll say it because now we're on to the postseason. It just mystifies me on how they construct their playoffs because we're going to have 2 to 3 of the best teams in the league will be out of it after the first round. It just doesn't make any sense. But be that as it may, we'll find out the playoff schedule come Thursday, I believe, is the last day of the regular season. And then we're on to the postseason, the best time for the next 2 months for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Last thing before we get the show rolling, other going on last night, we featured in What to Watch. The WNBA draft was held last night. The Minnesota Lynx held the 2 pick, and you're wondering, well, wait a minute. The Lynx had a great season last year. Why were they picking so high? That goes back to the infamous, you can say, trade they had with the Chicago Sky that year that Angel Reese came out, that I think all the Lynx fans were wondering or hoping that they were going to take Angel Reese. They ended up trading with Chicago. The Sky gave them a first-round pick in 2026. The Sky were not good. They finished at the bottom of the league, which entitled the Lynx to get that pick. And then the debate was, okay, who's going to be the number 1 pick? Even as the draft got going last night, I think there was still some debate on what was going to happen. AZ Fudd went number 1 overall from Connecticut. Will join her former teammate Paige Beckers with the Dallas Wings. So that set up the Lynx to maybe take Lauren Betts, the outstanding All-American from UCLA. There was a guard from Spain that was getting a lot of traction out there. Instead, Cheryl Reeve took Olivia Miles, the outstanding point guard from TCU through Notre Dame. The analysis on this goes, Minnesota's success of the past few seasons has come without a traditional point guard. Now the Lynx have one in Miles. With court vision and passing skills already at an elite level, she should thrive with veterans around her. She has a knack for finding open teammates, and she especially excels in transition. Her perimeter shooting improvement the past 2 seasons will also give Coach Cheryl Reeve the chance to play Miles off the ball. She was a fantastic player at Notre Dame and TCU. Got TCU on the brink of making the Final Four. 5'10", and adds to a team with her and Nafisa Collier. Kayla McBride is going to be back. They signed McBride. They have lost a couple of known players. Bridget Carlton left in the expansion draft. Courtney Williams. They have. It's going to be a new look team for the Lynx this upcoming year. But Miles is if you've watched any women's college basketball over the last couple of years, for her, she was a great player at Notre Dame. Then got hurt, went in the portal because she added the extra season to use it. Played at TCU, and boy, she was fun to watch for the Horned Frogs. So that's what the Lynx did. UCLA set a record last night with 6 players. I mean, we knew they were good. Obviously, they blew out South Carolina and winning the national championship, but they were littered in the first round. Betts went 4th overall to Washington. Gabby Yaquez went 5. After that to Chicago. Kiki Rice went 6 to the new expansion team in Toronto. They had 2 other picks. Gianna Neekins, who's the great player from Duluth, went 15th overall. She went to the Connecticut Sun. That's their last year, by the way. They're moving from Connecticut to Houston next season. So congrats. That was quite the run for what UCLA had. We knew that, what we saw this basketball season confirmed last night. The WNBA season right around the corner starts next month. I believe the Lynx have to get back. They start camp next week because games are coming at the start of May with the regular season after they got their contract situation settled between the owners and the players. More games, certainly more money, and it all starts coming up next month. It'll be fun to watch to see what kind of team that Cheryl Reeve puts on the floor this upcoming season. We got a lot to get to here on a busy Tuesday show. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Mike McFeely will be back with us here in studio at 9:35. Chat about everything and anything going on in the local world. It's typically what we do. Don't have necessarily a format with Mike this time of year. We'll do that at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, you'll meet Hermantown standout running back, defensive back Martin Sleen will join us. He announced over the weekend that he's committed to the Bison football team class of 2027, the 10th member of that Bison recruiting class. He'll join us at 10 o'clock. And the old ball coach will join us at 10:35. My conversation along with Jeff and Mike when Craig Bohl was in town over the weekend to discuss everything that he's doing right now as the head of the American Football Coaches Association, to North Dakota State being in the Mountain West Conference, to Wyoming and NDSU maybe being the new rivalry for the Bison with the Jackrabbit game off the table. A fun conversation with Craig coming up to wrap up our show at 10:35. So looking forward to that. We'll take our first break. We come back, as I mentioned earlier, some new information to share about what went down at Shanley. We got more reaction to get to as well. We're just getting started. Hot Mike back after this on WDAY Extra. Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday show off and rolling. I want to get back into what our main topic of our show was yesterday. And I for those that are probably, hey, Dom, you've hit it over the head, we're ready to move on, that's fine. Or for some that said it's not really a story. The amount of response I got about that were not surprising. I addressed that yesterday, that it's a private school that I don't think anybody will cry any tears over, that is inherently people are, I would say, biased against. They don't cheer for Shanley. Just there's that goes with the territory of it, and that's fine. I just got one comment here today. I have my new favorite nickname after I posted something yesterday or this morning, on this exact topic. And let me read it real quick, just because I can't read everything because the FCC will come after me. Hey, Dip Bleep Dom, you do realize Shanley is private, right? They can do whatever they want. Quit with the weird obsession. And it's not obsessing. I think there's a story there. And regardless of whatever, Shanley did what they did with Beth Maher and Stephen Weber and letting them go. The point that I brought up yesterday, and again was missed, is that this is a pattern that has happened now. It's systemic there. That to me is worth to me a story certainly from our side of things, from either the Forum or us or both, whatever news organization wants to pursue it. I think there's only a few that can or will, on why this has continued to happen. And I had a bit more context thrown at me yesterday in regards to this. And actually I got a message from a current parent of a player on one of the teams. And that shown more information on it that I think we previously either knew or didn't have. I thought I saved it here, so let me see if I can dig it up. I might be able to get to it here on exactly what went down. Here we go. Let's see here. Here we go. My daughter is on the Shanley team, and it's been fun seeing the growth of the program the last 2 years. Beth has a great passion for the program. I hope the athletic director knows what he is doing. Now, I was told yesterday that a little bit more into why each coach was let go. And let me make sure I got it here so I can read this. Coach Weber was told low morale and lack of player development is why he was being let go. Asked for his letter of resignation. He said okay and didn't ask anything else. Beth Maher was told low morale and parents and players wanted a new coach. Again, if what Kolpak was telling us yesterday, and I have not heard anything of that in terms of they being coached too hard, but I mean low morale and parents and players wanted a new coach. The parents part of me, that's the one that just sets me off to no end on that. And there is an inherent, again, I think, what's the right word? Not trust or belief that for parents that send their kids to Shanley and then there's the donate to that they have power over the athletic department, over the athletic director, that we can call the shots, because if not, we'll pull our money. And what are you gonna, I think they're always going to find people that are going to go there. I do. But I think that's the administrator's worry that, well, hey, the money's going to dry up and then what's going to happen, right? And then caving is what invariably ends up happening. And it's happened way too many times at this particular school. We documented it yesterday. Adding a little bit more context, the volleyball program, which we illustrated yesterday, the amount of coaches they've gone through. This will be their fourth coach. As it stands now, 0 applications have been turned in for the volleyball position, which has been open since December. It is now April, last time I checked. And that's the part of it when you scare off good young coaches, because why would you go do it? I don't blame you 100%. We talked about that yesterday on the show. And that's the risk you run by when you say you give the keys to the parents on this. I had another conversation yesterday on the phone, going back to our conversation on the Shanley football team on this. And it was reiterated to me again that it wasn't a quarterback decision, it was a player conversation. But then conversation went again that there was confirmation that they went to the AD to get the coach removed. So again, I know people are not going to feel sorry for the school. I would feel for the players that are unaffected by this, that did not they're just roped into this because they play on the team. For the parents of said players that started either said mutiny or got the ball rolling on this, shame on you. That's all I got to say. And again, because I had people coming at me, well, name names. What's your sources on this? That's not how this works. I'm not going to give you a journalism 101 on it, but anonymous sources work because they are anonymous. I trust what they're saying, right? The people that are talking to me would know what they're talking about. I got into this, and I so wish I didn't go down this rabbit hole yesterday of somebody said, well, name your source, do some real investigative journalism, Dom. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all my credentials. I've done plenty of investigative stuff, okay? You think I'm sitting here and I'm just a green and gold colored glasses guy for NDSU. Nah, we've done plenty on the Bison, too, on that front, okay? That I know they're not thrilled about that we've done in the past. So to me on that, it's like, that's not how this works. But the open invitation is there. Mark Holcraft has my number. He has my email. There's an open invitation. He wants to come sit here and talk to me, or we do it over the computer. However, let's go. I have open invitation to both the dismissed coaches And I have opened up to any said parent that would love to interact with me that instigated this. You can even call us. We'll put you on, whatever you want to do it. The invitation is there. I'm not shying away from anything on that. Feel free. One last email, then we'll go to break. Tom, it's always amusing when fans/schools teams want and even expect you to cover them right up until they don't, and then accuse you of a weird obsession. Yeah, I appreciate that. That is very accurate, and I wish I I don't understand that bit, whatever. But here's the thing. There will be other things that will happen, and they'll hire new coaches there, and I would tell you, good luck. Just be going into that with eyes wide open. I mean, we had Beth on when she got the job. Beth was the 9th grade coach the year prior. She had been in the system, right? She knew exactly. She had coached these players coming up. And then to see this happen where players and coaches or players and parents wanted a new coach just 3 years later, after they go to state back-to-back years and are trending this way, they're going up, like they're going to be maybe even better next season. That just, you gotta give me more than that on what went down. Appreciate all the comments. If we have time, we'll get some more into that later on in the show. But we're due for a break. We'll take it here when we come back. Our guy Mike McFeely will join us on the other side of the bend. So our Tuesday morning show rolls on. We're back on WDAY Extra right after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. Here it is with our guy Mike McFeely. Joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:30. Now, Sunday night, I'm flipping a couple channels, and I stumble across the Magic are playing the Celtics on Sunday nights because it's the last day of the NBA regular season. Yeah. And when I happen to turn it on, I see none other than one Baylor Shireman, who's just going crazy. Hits a step-back three. ESPN goes to commercial with it. And then I look up his stat line, and he's going like South Dakota State crazy. He finished with a career-high 30 in the Celtics win. And I immediately texted you, like, whoa, Shireman's going nuts tonight.
And part of that, of course, is because the top 7 players for the Celtics were sat out. Yeah. Although Shireman actually is.
Isn't he in that?
He is. But they let him play. Yeah, he's been fantastic for the squad this year. He really has been. And it's, as I've said earlier on this program, he's playing so well that my wife, who despises the Jackrabbits because she's a Bison rube, has actually admitted, yes, he's playing well. And she's like cheering for him now.
What did she text you the other night when he was doing that?
Well,
you can't say the full thing.
Yeah, and there's a story behind that too, by the way. Yes, he's on a bleeping heater. and so the genesis for that's become a thing between her and I. Yeah. That like nobody else understands, but we just laugh every time we say it to each other. So her and I think last fall, went over to Herd and Horns like on a Wednesday night or Thursday night, whatever it was, for a beer and some apps just to get out of the house. And that's they have bingo, like free bingo. It's not it's for prizes, but no money.
Yep.
Okay. And we're sitting at the bar in our usual spot. And there's a table of guys behind us, and they're being loud college guys. They're having fun, no problem at all. And one of the kids, like in a lull in the conversation, a lull in the noise, says, "Guys, I'm on a bleeping heater." And so we both sat up and went, "Oh, that's fantastic." So now every time anything happens, you're on a bleeping heater.
That's pretty good. What do we make here of the old Celts' chances here in the NBA playoffs?
They're going to be right there.
They're the 2 seed. Yes. Everyone was ready to bury them.
They won 56 games. No, they're going to be right there.
So
they're going to get the winner of the Magic
and 76ers
game. They'll be favored there. Then they'll take on the
Hawks of the Knicks. You got to beat them.
They
No
should.
beatdown.
The Knicks would be a great series.
Boy, then it'd be old school Pistons Celtics.
Yeah, think about that.
Thinking
Gotta
Bill
bring out
Laimbeer.
Bill Laimbeer and Rick Mahorn out of mothballs to cheap,
Mark Aguirre.
to cheap shot. No, I think that was that. Yeah, and Isaiah.
Yeah,
What a dink.
yeah.
Nice pass, Isaiah to Bird. But yeah, no, it was,
that would be something else.
it
That
would
ends up
be.
being
But
the-
yeah,
being
but
the
if
case
somehow
there.
the Celtics can get to the championship round, be terrific.
How about our Wolves? They're going to get Denver again. I don't feel very good about this Minnesota team in this postseason
very, very
run.
up and down.
Yeah.
They're just not consistent, and they just.
And the Nuggets are
we don't know
112 in
the
a row.
status of what's his face either, do we?
Anthony Edwards or
No,
Jay McDaniels?
McDaniels.
McDaniels came back
Oh, that's
for the
right. Yeah,
next
he did.
to
That's
last
right. He
regular
did.
season
Yes.
game. So
Yes, he did. So,
get
yep.
a week off. But again, they have not.
They just haven't
all
been
play
consistent.
together. No.
And they just it's whatever. This
My hot take, I like the Spurs. I'm going with the Spurs out
You've
of the
said
West.
that before.
I'm
You've said
going
that
on the
before.
Wemby bandwagon. I think they're going to do it. Even though they have no playoff experience,
right.
and normally in the NBA,
Yep. No,
you
and
need to get beat a couple
I
times.
just think OKC is just, and again,
No, they're
SGA is going to
Really?
get every call.
every foul call.
He's flopping right now and getting a call. He's not even playing a game right now. He's got his defender's gotten 3 fouls called. He's not even playing right now. That's how good SGA is.
I wanted to first salute your column yesterday on the great Larry Knutson, who announced that he is officially retiring after nearly 5 decades of broadcasting.
More than 5 decades, actually.
I've known one of the first people I met covering a Moorhead Spuds game was Larry Knutson when I went over to when Jim Goda Stadium still had grass over there.
Probably before it was Jim Goda Stadium.
Yes, might have been.
Yeah.
Just the amount of stories, and hopefully he's going to come in studio later this week to share some more because he's done it already before. He is you wrote it, the voice of Moorhead. There's so much there that he is
and that's
seen.
You know, it's aside from the wins, and obviously everybody thinks about that first hockey championship and then the subsequent one and this run of football success they've had the last couple of years. But they actually did win a state championship back in '87 when Larry was still broadcasting. But aside from that, aside from the victories and the losses, he's just one of those old school radio guys who puts on thousands of miles. Think of the trips that Moorhead has taken in the last 50 years. They went from playing Fergus Falls to they're playing Lakeville and Stillwater
Woodbury
and whomever, and Superior, Wisconsin they went and played for a while, and Duluth schools they played for a while. And you tack on the fact that he was a Concordia guy.
Yes.
And so not only would he, as I wrote, he'd cover a Spuds football game in Bemidji on a Friday night with a 7 o'clock kickoff, 2-hour game, let's say. You get back to Moorhead at midnight or whatever,
probably.
11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then you have to go down to St. Peter the
Or
next day,
Northfield.
or Northfield, or St. Paul, because the Cobbers are playing whatever.
Gustavus,
St. Olaf,
Carleton,
Gustavus,
right,
Bethel, whomever, St. Thomas. And he did that for 50 plus years.
Yep.
I mean, just the hours and the miles is just, and it was not for millions of dollars.
No,
let's make that
no
clear.
way.
I mean, it was
no.
A lot of it was he would sell the ads himself.
Yes.
He would do the whole thing. He was doing the whole shebang for a lot of this.
Yeah, I remember visiting with him one night when we were over a Spuds game. We were doing the game. I was doing it for extra, and I'd say, "Hey, where are you heading?" "Well, I got to go to Carleton in the morning. I leave at 6 a.m." Like, man, and this he's been doing it.
He did
40-some years into it there.
Some volleyball.
Yep.
He did hockey. He did boys basketball.
Yep.
I was looking back through the archives, and he actually had done back when the Moorhead Blues were getting like to the districts and the regionals.
Legion baseball.
He would do the Blues Legion baseball. He did Moorhead State's football team on that stretch where they, back in NAIA, I think they played like Central Arkansas or something, one of those teams.
Yeah.
He was doing those games. I'm sure just on one-offs they found somebody to broadcast and sell it. But I mean, he was everywhere.
Well, and the part you also wrote about yesterday, he has been introduced now to a newer, younger audience because of Spuds TV coming about.
Yeah.
They took Larry's broadcast and put it on there, so there's a whole generation of maybe people that didn't know him that got to meet him over the last 5 to 10 years.
And I don't know, I guess there's a handful of guys like that left, and hopefully there's another generation.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of the Brad Andersons and the Chase Miller's now in kind of the streaming thing, but he is also a radio guy by nature.
Yep.
And so hopefully, and I don't know what anybody's going to do to replace. I did get word that the Spuds are going to continue to have their games on the radio,
good.
And so are the Cobbers, so that's good.
Yep.
But who that goes to and who does what, you hope that it's somebody, they ain't going to be there for 50 years.
No way.
I don't think.
No.
But you hope that they have the same passion and the same want to that Larry, because it wasn't for the money.
No.
It was not for the money. And it was for the community and for the kids and the athletes and the coaches, and that's what it was about with Larry.
Yeah.
And as I wrote, my wife and I have lived in Moorhead now we've been married for 20, hopefully I get this right, 27 years? Sure. Almost 30 years we've been married. But for much of that time, most of it, we've lived in Moorhead. All of it, actually, we've lived in Moorhead. And our routine on Friday nights, if I wasn't flying off to Macomb or Terre Haute or wherever I was flying off to, at 7 o'clock, we'd flip on the radio and see what Kent and Lair were up to.
Yep.
And listen to the games. And even last fall, when we were on the road, she was texting me saying, oh my gosh, I think Jet Feeney's hurt.
Yeah. Yep.
Larry just said he left the game.
Yeah.
It was always Larry said,
Yes.
Larry said. And so that's our routine was to listen to Larry and Kent, and it's going to be
definitely
and
different.
by the way, Kent McLeod is also no longer going to broadcast Spuds football games either, and he also deserves a tip of the cap for being a true Moorhead guy as well. He coached the Dragons for a long time and has done radio and lives like 7 steps from the high school. And so he's been doing all this for years as well for the Spuds.
Last thing before we break, just the emotion, I think, and you were down there last March when the Spuds won the state hockey championship, when they came back to the Drury Hotel and Larry got to hold the that
was just great.
Unbelievable.
That was great.
It was fantastic.
But that again goes back to what you're saying about the way Larry told the story is that he got back to the hotel and went, wow, and he was kind of visited with some people and then said, well, the night before, word had it, was at the Spuds fan party, went until like 4 o'clock in the morning. So lots of Sprite and root beers were consumed, I'm sure. And so Larry, who is now 78, I believe, said, well, I don't want to be up I don't need to be here any longer than I need to be, so I'm going to go. I think it was Brooks Cullen who grabbed him and said, you're not going anywhere. And Larry said, well, why not? He goes, because you're going to hoist the trophy. Yeah. And Larry's like, no, I don't. You're going to hoist the trophy. And he goes, well, I don't know. You're going to hoist the trophy, Larry. And so the way Larry told the story, Brooks took him to the lobby of the hotel, and you can see in the photo that we've all shown, the balconies are there, and Brooks gave him the trophy and said, hoist it. And Larry got to hold the trophy up, and everybody went nuts, and it was just fantastic. So that was
stuff.
Good on Brooks. I don't know him, but good for him for doing that, and good for the Spuds hockey team to recognize him in that way.
Good stuff there. Congrats, Lair. Enjoy it. Hopefully, we're going to have him in studio here later this week. Let's break. We come back. Got a bunch of emails to ask Mike about his visit with Craig Bohl, which we're going to play later in the show, and some Bison football chatter. We'll do that.
How about them Twins?
The Twins are red hot, too. We can discuss that when we come back.
I'm having fun on Twitter with those nerds.
Come back after this. All right, welcome back. We got a live studio audience in here, huh?
We do.
They were clamoring to have you.
No, they like you.
Well, they're from Moorhead High.
Yes, Spuds.
And I think I broke their brains because a few of them are freshmen that actually have my wife as a teacher.
Yes.
So
yes, fantastic.
You go tell Miss Tobias I said hi, okay, when you go see her. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. Back with Mike here as we wrap up our first hour. We got a bunch of emails. You're at your story this weekend about how Craig Bohl can save college football. We have our conversation that we're all part of coming up in our next hour. First off, the all-ball coach was certainly talkative when he was back on Friday.
Yeah, most interesting was probably, when we're just kind of BSing with them afterward, and you got to, some of it probably.
Yeah.
But giving the rundown of the different locations and sort of what the teams are all about.
Yes.
The Hawaii trip is going to be a difficult one.
Yeah, he was not speaking glowingly of that.
No, and not anything negative, just how tough it's just a very difficult trip to fly.
Yes.
How long would it be? 13 hours or something? Or 12, 13
Pretty
hours
much.
in a plane from Fargo?
Yeah.
And then trying to play a football game when your body is
trying to
whatever
adjust to
and all
that.
that stuff.
Yep.
And it was almost like no matter how good or bad Hawaii is,
Right.
it's just always going to be a tough game.
A slog there. He said he was more than excited when they won out there a couple times.
Yeah, and his AD, Tom Burma, would say, like Hawaii would be 3-6 or something. Like he goes, because you don't understand.
No.
The AD wouldn't go out there.
No.
Which doesn't make any sense.
He also was talking about the potential with, we mentioned this when they got into the league, the Bison that is, that NDSU Wyoming might be the next, if you're looking for the rival to come out of this, it might be University of Wyoming.
Yeah, and I think Wyoming has embraced that.
Yeah.
Polisek has told us that Northern Illinois is also trying to get in line for that honor too. And I think for Northern Illinois' standpoint, they need...
Well, they're now the outermost team. Yeah.
Right. They need some sort of rivalry, some sort of something going on there. But that one wouldn't make sense to me. But Northern Iowa wouldn't have made sense to me the last time around either.
No.
And that became one
It
because
did.
of the personalities
You're exactly right.
involved and the fight and everything else.
Something organic may arise, too, out of once the Bison start playing some of these teams. Like you mentioned, Northern Iowa, we didn't
once you start
happen.
saying how Laramie is a dump and how the University of Wyoming sucks.
I'm not going to say
that.
that.
Why?
I'm not going to say that.
What's his name? Solwell?
Solwell, yep.
Yeah, is a dink and all. Once you start saying all that stuff, you're going to get a rivalry.
There we go. That'll do it.
That'll be your.
I'll set me
that'll
up
be
for
your
that
assignment. Yes.
So when we get to October, I'll lay it out there
sure,
the
absolutely.
first week of the season there. You were up at practice here. We're getting ready for week 4. Any takeaways you've seen from spring ball?
I haven't seen a lot of practice. There's been a lot of practicing going on.
It's a lot of walkthroughs and stuff like that.
And standing around.
Yes.
But it's still the same 3 position groups that we've talked about is offensive line, who's going to play where, and are they going to be any good? Receivers, is Mekhi Collins going to be healthy, and can they find some speed somewhere? Whether it's in the portal or some young guy in the team.
Yeah, Polisek hinted that they're not done adding.
Yeah,
he said
and
that.
Then cornerback. So those 3
I'd
positions.
throw linebacker in too. Because the inexperience they have there, the kind of guys that have not played a lot of football.
Yeah, but I think we've seen enough of some of those kids that they'll be all right. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same as a year ago with 36-year-old Logan Kopp and those guys, but they'll be fine.
You're wearing your Twins hat here. I know you were trading some barbs online after we showed the highlights.
What's the Twins record right now?
I believe 10-7.
10-7.
The best in the American
They have
League.
the best record in the American League.
Did not see that coming.
All the Carl Pohlad and the Tom Pohlad and the Joe Pohlad and the Jim Pohlad and the Eloise Pohlad haters out there, and that's every Twins fan.
Yes,
can stuff it in a pipe right now. I got to watch my language with
kick
these
rocks.
kids in the room
Just
here.
say kick rocks.
They
It'll
can
work.
kick rocks. Yeah. I'm not worried about the FCC license. I'm worried about these kids.
I'm
trying to be a good, good role
you.
model for these young spuds.
Yeah.
I'm with Royce on this, Patrick Royce.
Yeah.
There are fans rooting horribly for the
lose.
Twins to be terrible, to be awful,
to be
biblically
bad,
so they can say, "See, the Pohlads stink." Yep. It's like they can't enjoy the season. Just enjoy what's there, and they just won't. Which you can see on my Twitter timeline today.
Yep.
I throw a little, semi-sarcastic jab. And these people eat it up like they're sunfish eating worms, but because they don't get it.
No, they do not.
They're just not bright enough to understand what I'm trying to do here. But just they're 10-7.
Yes,
but they just it's all. I wrote some stuff down.
Yeah, go for it.
I got to find
you
it now.
readers?
Yeah, yes I do. How many playoff wins does the Vikings have since 2010?
Ooh, that's a good
2010. Since 2010, how many playoff wins?
1. Two. God,
Two
the second one I'm forgetting.
Okay.
I know they beat the
But
Saints.
yet the Wilfs.
Oh, the Minneapolis Miracle.
And one of them was literally a miracle that they won the game, right?
So 2 playoff wins.
They've been to 1 NFC championship.
Remember that.
Since, 10 years ago, since 2009. That was because of the miracle. And they lost by 230 points at Philadelphia.
Yep.
They haven't won a playoff game. Vikings have not won a playoff game since 2019.
Yep.
The Twins have won a playoff series more recently than the Vikings have won a playoff game.
Yep. That was 2023.
Excuse me. The Minnesota Wild have not won a playoff series in 11 years.
We talked about that earlier.
And the Wolves have only recently been any good. And yet, all of those ownership groups, Glenn Taylor took some heat from the fans, but he got them on the right path eventually. Ziggy Wilf just gets away with whatever they want to do.
Because it's the Vikes.
Because it's the Vikings.
Yep.
And it's, the Vikings. The Wild have sucked forever. They've been no good forever. Pardon my French, kids. Yep. They've been gone. They've been terrible forever. But the Twins, for some reason, get all of the angst, and part of that is because some of it's deserved. Some of it is
been
deserved.
Brought on themselves. Yeah,
but
I agree.
But the level to which it's gone now, you can't make it up. It's so stupid. And part of it is the radio station out of the Twin Cities, because they have 21 hours of programming bashing the Twins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The Vikings get nothing but
the opposite of that.
The opposite of how great.
Yes.
And gee, which contract does that radio station have?
They have the Vikings deal.
Isn't that odd? And they don't have which one?
They don't have the Twins.
Isn't that odd? Funny how that works out. But that's part of it, because they just the fans then just parrot and repeat what they hear from the hosts.
Yep.
And so the poll ads have become public enemy number one.
Yep.
And they're 10. Are they going to stay 10-7? I mean, are they going to stay at this pace?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But just if they finish 500, okay, that's not great. But they're not going to lose 100 games.
No, right. Considering
they're better than people expected.
I think some thought they would be like 60 and 102
these people are
this year.
rooting for the Twins to lose 120.
Yep.
They're not going to sell the team.
No.
They're not going to sell. They tried.
Correct. They did
didn't
try.
do it. They got some. They're not going to sell the team.
No.
So give it up.
Suck it up. This is who's going to be running the team here for the next little bit.
Earmuffs, kids. Earmuffs over there. Shut up.
Yeah.
They're not going to sell the team.
Exactly right.
Shut your pie hole.
And with that, we'll see if they can beat Boston again tonight. And Boston's a team that spent $2 gazillion, and they're 5 games under 500 right now.
Yeah. But that doesn't matter. The poll ads suck.
And you know what? It's just nice going to a ball game there. I love Target Field. I love going there. I'm going to go there this summer with my with Miss Tobias and my son. We're going to go to a game this summer. I can't wait. I love going down there. And if they're good, even better. You know, if not, still it's fine to go to a ball game.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Great to see you, bud. Thanks for coming by.
Round of applause, y'all, for Dom Izzo and Mrs. Tobias.
More importantly for her. Thanks, Mike, for coming by.
Yep, you bet.
He joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:35. We'll break. We'll start our second hour. We'll come back. We'll meet the newest football commit for the Bison class of 2027. That's coming up. We start hour 2 after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on this Tuesday morning. Our thanks to class from Moorhead stopping by. That was awesome. Craig Bohl coming up here in about a half hour. Our conversation with the former Bison head football coach. Over the weekend, in case you missed it, the Bison current staff is continuing to be busy in the recruiting window area here, where they have added yet another commit. He's on your screen right now from Hermantown, Minnesota, for the class of 2027. Martin Sleen joined us here this morning to chat about his recruitment and becoming the newest member of the Bison class of 2027. First off, thanks for doing this. Congratulations. Let me just start with, tell me about this and why NDSU was the fit for you.
There was quite a few things that played into my decision to commit to NDSU. First of all, I love their coaching style, and the mantra for their program: compete, improve, tough. They follow that every single day. I can see it in the practices. I can see it in the way they talk to people, and everything they do. I can kind of see that kind of flow throughout the entire program, and that kind of connects with my mentality as well. So right off the bat, I knew that we definitely connected in that. The coaches did a good job reaching out to me, staying in touch. And just the more that I talked to them, the more interested I became. I took, let's see here. I did a game day first with them. I got to be on the sidelines before one of the games, and I just was able to look out in the stands and see all the people and see everybody on the field fired up and ready to go. And, you know, I kind of was picturing myself out there a little bit, and I was like, I could kind of see, like, yeah, I could get behind this for sure.
When do you remember what game you came up for last fall?
Not exactly. It was a little bit before the St. Thomas game.
Okay.
Not exactly sure though.
So what did you heard about the Fargo Dome? And then when you saw it, like, wow, was it even beyond what your expectations were?
Yeah, it was definitely much bigger than I imagined that it would be. It was actually my first college football game I've ever been to.
No kidding.
I'd never gone to a college football game before. So it was an experience for me.
So I know the Bison offered you at the end of January. When you got that, did that change expectations, or say, okay, now it's real because I have an offer in my back pocket?
Yeah, it went from more of a kind of a hope to a reality for me. I was really impressed with everything I saw when I went to the camp the summer after my sophomore year. And, you know, I was kind of hoping for an offer because I was like, yeah, this is a program I could play for. And then when it came, I was excited. It was nice having my family and friends there to be happy with me.
So what was that reaction when you're going back home and you got offered by NDSU? Tell me what that was. The drive home was like.
Yeah, that was fun. It was just me and my mama who drove down there and back. And there was people texting me on the way back, like, how did it go? How did it go? And I didn't want to tell them anything because I wanted to tell them in person. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, it was all right. It was fine. And then they were all there when I was able to tell them. They're pretty excited.
So your highlights, we're going to see you playing running back, but that's not the position NDSU's recruiting for. Tell us about that and playing defense at the next level.
Yeah, when they first gave me the offer, they said, like, we're offering you as a safety. And I was like, I had to take a step back and be like, wait, what? Because I never really played defense very much. A couple snaps here and there, but nothing really too crazy. But they were like adamant about it. They're like, we've seen your film, we've seen like your highlights, and they project well as a strong safety, better than as a running back, we think. And so I had to kind of sit in that and be like, all right, do I trust them? Like, they've been doing this for a while, but like I've never even played safety before. And so I just kind of had to like weigh the pros and cons. Like, would I like playing safety? And then they kind of were talking about like, you're a football player first and foremost, and you kind of got to trust us to tell you what like the best fit for you is. So I was kind of sitting there like, And then after some time thinking about it, and they showed me some examples of players who played different positions in high school and transitioned when they went to college. He was like, yeah, no, like they've been doing this for a long time. They know what they're doing, and I'm going to trust that, like, they know what they're talking about.
So I got to go back. When they tell you we're thinking defense, did you just slink? Like, how did your attitude change? Like, what was that initial reaction like?
No, it wasn't a reaction of like, no, I got to play defense.
Yeah.
It was more just like, wait, they want me to play defense? Like, it was kind of just confused. Like, obviously excited because, you know, I'm getting an offer, but like, I was definitely a little confused. Like, you must you got to have the wrong kid or something. Like, I'm a running back. But no, I was pretty excited about it. And I think that playing strong safety would be a fun position to play. If I was going to be playing defense, like that's probably what I'd pick if I had the option.
So how much does that change for your senior? Are you going to tell your high school coach, hey, I got to play defense? Like, are you planning on doing that for this upcoming fall?
Yeah, we still kind of got to talk about that a little bit more, but I'll probably be doing a little bit of both. Hopefully, you know, that'd be good for me, I think, because obviously I still like playing running back, and that's kind of the position that fits best for our team.
Yeah.
But also I'd like to get a few reps in at safety, so probably a little bit of both.
So for people that know your hometown, they know it for hockey. They don't know it for football. Tell me about you playing football and excelling and why this was for. I don't know if NDSU's ever gone to Hermantown to find a player. Tell me about a little bit of the background of you in football in your hometown.
Yeah, so it's definitely, you're right. It's known for its hockey program. I never really got into hockey when I was a kid. I wasn't really interested in it. And I have a couple older brothers, and they introduced me to football when I was younger. And so we would play that every day out in the yard, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. And so as soon as I could, signed up for flag football.
Yeah.
And then as soon as mom would let me, I joined tackle football. And I love it just as much as I did then. And so I was just like, yeah, this is something that I'll probably pursue a little bit more. And so I just kept playing football and making friends with my teammates and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's going good. Obviously, yeah, we're known for our hockey program, but hopefully with a couple new people coming in and stuff, like maybe they'll remember us a little bit for football too.
So 8-2 last year. Grand Rapids got you guys in the section tournament. You're coming back. You mentioned what you have for next season. What's obviously goals to state for next season. Describe optimism level for next fall and being back out on the field.
Yeah, I'm really proud of my team. They're putting the work in on the off season, and obviously the goal is to make it to state. And I think that, we're putting in the work off the field, and once the snow melts, we'll probably be out on the field a little bit too. And so, yeah, we're optimistic. We're feeling pretty good about it. We think that we got a pretty good opportunity here.
Martin, tell me, when was the first realization for you that college football was a reality? Was it a phone call, a conversation you had? Was there one moment that sticks out when you said, okay, somebody thinks I can play college ball?
Yeah, there is actually a moment. It was my freshman year. I wanted to play varsity football. And a lot of people were telling me, like, that's not really an option for a freshman. Like, we just kind of don't do that. And I kept putting in the work, like, when the freshman practices were over, I go listening on the huddles for varsity, trying to memorize the plays for when I got my opportunity. And the opportunity came in the playoffs. We were playing, what was it? It was Rockridge. And I got my first touchdown, and I was pretty excited about it. But that wasn't really the moment. The moment came a couple games later in the section finals. We were playing North Branch, and they gave me the ball on a sweep, and I took it to the house for like a 60-something yard touchdown. And I got on the sidelines, and my coaches were telling me, like, yeah, we think you can play. We think you got what it takes to play high school football, and we think you got what it takes to play college football.
What was that moment like for you?
That was unbelievable for me. Like, I got in the end zone, and I turned around and looked, and everybody's running up to me, and I was like, I couldn't believe it actually happened. I was like, no way, this just happened. Like, but no, it was good. That's probably one of the highlights of my football career.
All right, so now fast forward to this past weekend. Did you commit in person? Did you call Coach Polisek? Give us the lowdown on how you told him you were committing.
Yeah, I wanted to commit in person with them. I know a lot of people do it over the phone, but I want it to be something that I remember. So me and my mama, we went down there. They showed us around the college a little bit more. We got in a couple meetings with just academic advisors and strength coaches and all those things, just to see exactly what I'm getting myself into. And then at the end of the day, we went in the office with Coach Polisek, and he was like, we'd love for you to play for us. And if you're ready, we're ready. Because I'd hinted to them that, like, yeah, I would like to commit pretty soon here. So I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, let's do this. And all the coaches were right there in the offices surrounding, and they all came out, and that was fun. Like, they were all right there. They were high fives, they was cheering, they was shouting, there was pictures. My mama was there with me. It was fun. It was something I'm not gonna remember.
The realization now that this is going to happen, has it clicked? Have you let it, if your mind go there, like, wow, this happened, I'm gonna do this, or has it not even sunk in yet?
Nah, it's still sinking in. I'm not gonna lie. It's crazy to think about, like, how far I've come, and trying to just process, wow, what's actually happening. Like, I did it. I made it to where I wanted to go, and so yeah, that's where I'm at now. Kind of still just processing a little bit. Yeah.
What's been the reaction like back home over the last couple days?
Lots of excitement. My family's super proud of me. I'm happy that they're here for me. My teammates, they've been blowing on my phone more than the coaches now. All of them I put it down for 1 second, I pick it back up, and there's 10 messages just like, did you commit? Congratulations. Like, no way, you actually did it. And so it's been a lot of excitement going on down here in Hermantown.
How much does this, Martin, change your off-season plans? Like, were you planning on doing camps all summer long and then make a decision? Was this even earlier than you thought?
Yeah, I was kind of planning on going to a few more camps and other colleges just to kind of see what was going on. But I kind of did a little bit of research and talked to coaches and found out that the recruiting timeline is a little different than I anticipated. So I was like, I kind of got to start making decisions here. And I kind of already had an idea where I wanted to go. It was more of just reaching out just in case like maybe something else stuck out more. But NDSU was right there for me. So I was like, I just kind of took it.
I have to ask, because we're asked to be part of NDSU's first FBS class. How big a deal is that to you?
It's pretty special. Obviously, I was already pretty interested in NDSU, but like any football player, I was hoping to play FBS football. And then, like a few weeks after I got my offer, I see that they're moving up to the Mountain West, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, "There's no way this is happening!" Like all the pieces are just falling in place for me. And so I was pretty excited about that. And to be part of like the first recruiting class, it feels special that like I get to be kind of a little bit a part of that, a little bit of the history of NDSU.
A couple of minutes left here, Martin. I really appreciate you doing this, but the amount of Minnesota guys, there's about I think now 5 or 6 out of the 10 guys that have committed. How big a deal is that, knowing there's a bunch of other guys from Minnesota that are going to be coming to Fargo with you next a couple of years' time?
Yeah, it feels good to be able to, show kind of a little bit of the football world, what Minnesota can offer football-wise. And, it's always nice to have people around the area that you're from. And so I'm excited to make connections with them and grow together.
How about standing up for Northern Minnesota? That's not necessarily known as a football haven, that you're going to be representing that at the Division I level.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting to be able to do that, especially for my football team and my coaches and my family, my friends that have given me so much. It's good to just be able to give back a little bit and be a little bit of that.
Last thing before I let you go, did you have a chance to celebrate? Have you done that yet? And if you have, what was that like?
We haven't done any big celebrations yet, but we've got one coming up hopefully pretty soon here.
I appreciate you making time this morning. Congratulations on committing. Looking forward to seeing you on the field this fall. Stay healthy, and thanks again for making time for us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Martin
Sleen from Hermantown, Minnesota, the newest football commit for North Dakota State, the 10th of the class of 2027. As you heard him say it, he's going to play safety at NDSU, not running back. He was a first-team All-State selection this past season for the Hawks, and comes from an area, frankly, that is not known for football. Hermantown's a hockey town. Great friend and former colleague Joel Sipper is a Hermantown Hawk and would always tell me everything about Hermantown that he could. And obviously that goes without saying. Last year, though, they were pretty decent in football. Won 8 games. As mentioned, lost to Grand Rapids in the section semifinal round. Sleen had offers from South Dakota and Brown, along with North Dakota State so far. And I know for a lot of hardcore recruiting fans that pay attention to this, they're going to look like, who are the Bison getting these, commits from that don't have all these, illustrious offers, and they're looking for other Mountain West schools or other FBS schools are beaten out. Again, NDSU looks like they're ahead of the game, frankly, on a lot of these guys. Because you look around, again, it's hard. We can't compare classes anymore. You can't compare what NDSU's class looks like to South Dakota State. You can if they get a head-to-head guy. We can compare that. But you can't compare NDSU's class to, say, UND. That just doesn't – it doesn't compute anymore when they're not in the same subdivision like they used to be. At least I'm not going to do that. I don't think that's accurate to do that in terms of who's getting whom in the recruiting world. It just to me, that doesn't make much sense. But again, they're targeting these guys for a reason. We'll see how this all pans out. Again, they still have another high school year to play before they'll even be arriving on campus. But this first FBS class now up to 10 members for North Dakota State. All right, let's break. We come back. We got a bunch of emails from our topic that keeps on going. We'll hit on that. Plus, Bison women's basketball has added a new player as well. You'll meet her as we roll on. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Martin Sleen. Good stuff out of Hermantown.
Got a bunch more emails coming in on a variety of topics. So let's try and hit as many as we can. And this is another one that we mentioned earlier that, Dom, I feel terrible for the two coaches and their families after the firings over the weekend. With that said, this is just Shanley being Shanley. And if the coaches didn't realize this was possible, they sure don't understand the school as good as I do. And I'm 200 miles away and obviously never attended. And that, again, goes back to a point we made yesterday and earlier today. I'm sure there's some that have no hard feelings over what went down, just because they are either there's just a bias against the said school or just don't care for them because they win, or just being a private school. Saw that inherent in North Dakota Class B. I mean, that's why we went to 3 classes, I think, because there was such a intolerance of seeing the Class B basketball schools have success at the state tournament that I think we finally got to a point where a lot of the other Class B schools are like, nah, I'm finally ready to vote for a 3rd class. Another says, I coach girls AAU for Sanford Fargo at a high level. We were told that there's another group of parents that were the driving force behind the Shanley girls ouster. And it would make sense from what I've heard as well. Dom, the brouhaha at Shanley is a news story. When we heard about it on the evening news, we immediately had a bunch of questions. We finally decided to wait till Monday morning because we knew your show would have some answers, and you did. Thank you for all in your team do to deliver trustworthy and interesting sports news. I say that honestly, even though I'm a UND fan living in Bison Town. Appreciate that. And I'll be honest, I had a pretty lengthy phone call with a parent yesterday, and I was illuminating on a few ends, strengthening what I had been told of what went down. What I said yesterday, I stand behind. People want to. You always want to. You want to name names. You want to do that, and that's not how anonymous sourcing works on stuff like that. I did name one name yesterday, and that's because of who I was told, and I had it backed up. Again, in journalism 101, you want to have something solid. And it's not typically one source. You need 2, sometimes 3, depending on how big the story is. I had this quadruple sourced, so I felt good enough to go with it. And then when I had a conversation with said person yesterday, it was fun. It was a frank conversation. I think we both got what we wanted to say out of it. I learned a little bit more on it, and frankly, we move on. That to me is hoping for retraction and stuff what I said was accurate. I'm going to end it with that. Dom, you got it right when you said parents are an issue. No coach wants to do anything but win. All the decisions they made are based on that. Parents should enjoy the games from the stands and support the entire team, including the coaches. I wish it was as easy as that. It just isn't. And unfortunately, it's come on. And again, I'm sure Shanley would love this to move on. They would love for me to stop talking about it, and we will. We'll unless it gets brought to our attention that somebody wants to speak on said issue, then we will certainly engage in it again. Those, as I mentioned, invitations have been extended tenfold to all parties involved. No one has accepted that, and that's fine, but it is my responsibility to at least put the invitation out there. It's one thing to have a show like this and the powerful device that's in front of me, that you need to respect that when you say something to make sure that the other side or both sides are allowed to have their viewpoints heard. Because that's what I was told numerous times yesterday. You're only getting one side of it. You're only getting one side of it. Well, where's the other side of it? The other side gave us a 3-sentence statement, and that was it. So that opens up for all sorts of conjecture unless someone's willing to speak on it.
We've had a few. We've read them here on the air. I've reported it here on the air. But to that, like, I'm fully ready to say we're going to move on. And I stand by what we chatted about, reported yesterday on it. And that'll be that until this happens again, which, unfortunately, that's my whole point on this, to put a bow on it. It's systemic. It's happened too many times to count. Real quick here, because we teased before we went to break. We mentioned in the portal window has about a week left for it will close. For the men, it closes a week from today. Women is a week from yesterday in basketball. So departures are known for the most part. Now it's about the additions. Bison women will have officially announced the addition, I think, later today. She announced it last night on her Twitter feed. Madeline Muniz from Cal State Fullerton, 5'10 guard, will officially transfer in to North Dakota State and join the Bison women's basketball team for next season. She spent the last 2 years with the Titans in the Big West Conference. Originally started her basketball career at the University of Idaho. She played high school ball at Boulder Creek High School in Anthem, Arizona. It's a pretty popular high school. Played varsity all 4 years there. Team's Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, first team All-Conference selection, second team All-State. She redshirted in 23-24 at Idaho and then spent the last 2 years at Fullerton. 5'10", averages about 5 points a game. Shoots, look at her shooting percentages here, about 30% from three-point range. She played in all 62 games, started 18 of them for the Titans over the last 2 years. And the Big West is a majority of schools that are made up in California, at least for the moment. A lot of them are actually leaving the league for the West Coast Conference, like Santa Barbara, UC Irvine, UC San Diego, CSUN's in there, Cal State Northridge, Riverside. I think Cal Poly's in that league. Davis is in that league for now. Davis is moving, we know, to the Mountain West for basketball. Hawaii is there. They're moving, obviously, to the Mountain West as well. So this could be definitely a culture change on that. We're hopeful to have her on the show later this week when it becomes official that she's in. So that's one. We knew the Bison were going to have to add at least 2, potentially 3, with the departures of Amelia Hobson and Molly Lenz, the graduations of Abby Graham and Audrey Martinez Stewart likely open up the – now knowing full well that Sophie Hawkinson redshirted this season, so that's a quote-unquote addition as well, that they're going to have to add one more. But that's a guard, 5'10" guard. They'll be part of the Bison women's basketball roster for next season. And the Bison men, as we mentioned earlier, have been active. We're still hunting to see the names that'll be added in there. David Richmond's got to add at least 6 guys, maybe more, to his men's basketball roster for next year. All right, let's break. We come back. The architect will join us. Our conversation we had with Craig Bohl back in town about everything that's wrong with college football and how he's planning to fix it. That's coming up when we come back. Final half hour here on a busy Tuesday. Hey, one scheduling note. Tomorrow in studio, we'll be joined by former West Fargo Cheyenne, and now I can say former Bison running back Barika Penu will join us in studio. If you missed it yesterday, it's part of our best of the weekend. Barika's name is out there, according to ESPN's draft gurus that have him as one of the 7 risers coming up the draft boards that potentially could get his name called sometime late in the NFL draft. So we'll ask him about what his representation is telling him and what he's been up to since the season ended in December. So we're looking forward to that. Barika will be here in studio tomorrow, 10 o'clock, lead off our second hour, part of a packed Wednesday show. Looking forward to that. Now, I teased this yesterday, and we got avalanche with stuff, which was appropriately so. We went down on the south side of town. But Friday at Bison football practice, we had the opportunity, myself, Mike, and Kolpak, to get a chance to visit with Craig Bohl. And Craig has been back more frequently, obviously, since he retired from his position as head coach at the University of Wyoming following
the 2023 season and with the hiring of Tim Polasek here at North Dakota State, Craig has been back way more frequently since he left in January of 2013. I think the full embrace between the Bison fans and Craig happened. You saw that video in September of 2024 when he was inducted into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame. And I think things have come full circle for Bison fans since. Well, he's been a busy man. When we talked in September of 2024, which seems like a lifetime ago, and it is, it's almost 2 years, Bohl was president of the American Football Coaches Association, as he still is. The topics then that we discussed were mainly on NIL and the portal, which seems now trite, to be honest with you, because you're going to hear our conversation. Craig's dealing with the White House now, the Federal Trade Commission. It's dealing with agents, eligibility. I mean, anything off the field is what Bohl is dealing with on a daily basis. But we talked to Craig on a variety of topics ranging from off the field to NDSU's invite to the Mountain West Conference. Here's our conversation we had with the former Bison boss. I know when we talked when you were here a year and a half ago about trying to get your arms around college football, how's it going?
Well, it's a state of change. I am convinced that we're going to come to a better place once we get all the stakeholders around the table and really have some meaningful discussions, because for too long we just operated in our own silos as coaches, administrators, conference commissioners, players. I do feel like the players need to have more of a voice, simply because they're a stakeholder too, and I think for too long they've been put on the sideline.
The 5 for 5 idea, what do you make of that proposal?
Well, that actually came out of the AFCA head coaches meeting, and we were told, I'm not going to say by whom, but not to discuss it because of all the litigation. We just think it's a common sense approach right now. As rosters are going to shrink with the House settlement, coaches are really looking to try to find meaningful players to be able to go out there and play. I think it's much more of a common sense approach where you got 5 years, the clock starts, so you're not really looking at all kinds of waivers and medicals and all these other things, and it gives a chance for your roster to expand. We felt like many years ago when we passed the 4-game redshirt rule, that was a really big win and really proved to be successful, but what has changed is the dynamics of college football right now.
Sports agents, you confident that you guys can get a handle on that?
Well, I think we're making some progress. I talked with some members of the Federal Trade Commission today, and we've appreciated the White House basically taking up our ideas. A lot of the initiatives that are listed in there have been vetted by general managers around the country and along with coaches, and we think if we can come up, we need good agents. Players need good representation, but we just need some regulation because there's some bad actors out there.
How bad? And what kind of horror stories are there?
Oh, I can tell you one of down in Dallas where an agent who had been a high school coach got fired. He had a drug charge. He had a firearm charge against him. He became an agent, circled around some areas, found 11 great players, convinced their parents that he was going to make them a lot of money, moved them all to Georgia, put them in a small 3-bedroom house, then ended up charging them 25 to 30%. And it's almost, as the coaches in Texas would call it, it's almost like human trafficking. That's one example right there that's documented. We collaborated with ESPN to do that story.
Tell us about your relationship with Gloria Navarez to make NDSU a Mountain West member.
Well, Gloria's a special commissioner, and it was neat for me when she was brought on. I told her, I said, Gloria, I've never had an opportunity to really have an engaging part. I'm an old school guy with a woman, and she about started crying. I want to say we're close. I sometimes consider her like a little sister, and that's not a disrespect, but she was trying to learn her way and what football was all about, and she's really championed NDSU, and I know they're excited about getting in the league.
You've been at Wyoming, NDSU. Is there rivalry potential there?
Well, I really think there is. There's two schools, and that's one of the reasons when I left here, it had to be the right fit. The two schools, the states, the governors, the members of the Senate, the mindset of the people, both are hardcore blue-collar schools. I'll be at this next year's game. There's a Bohl that's coaching at Wyoming right now.
How's Aaron handle that, knowing that this is coming, that he's going to have a reunion?
Well, I think, he has great memories when he was over at Moorhead. And, of course, all these guys, Grant was out there, and a lot of people were. I just think there's going to be a lot of storylines. It's going to be a great football game.
I'm sorry, is college football healthy? Getting back to that, is college football healthy right now? Because it's never been more popular.
No, it's, here's what we need to recognize, that the TV ratings are off the chart. Attendance is up. There's great storylines. The sky's not falling, okay? The old days, that horse left the barn, Mike. That one's gone. But it doesn't mean that we can't have good days moving forward. And we just got to find the right path to make sure that we're educating players. That's being lost in this. I think we need to come up with some semblance of some stability so you don't have guys just coming and going. Obviously, players have the right to secure the best they can. But I'm convinced that we're going to come out in a good place, and I think NDSU is going to find the Mountain West be a great league for them.
You know what you're getting into when you took this job?
No, I did not. I'd been on the AFCA board for many years and was a president, and, we were tackling small issues. Like the big deal right now is a punt formation. That exploded. I was like, hey, if they knew what we were dealing with, 5 for 5, litigations, antitrust, Federal Trade Commission, we'll get the punt formation down right. I know Pat Fitzgerald's bent around the axle. I was like, God dang it, Pat, just punt the ball.
I mean, Colorado State is Wyoming's rivalry, but will that lessen now?
Well, when I talked to them, they're opening their first game. Next year they won't play them, but then they've renewed that, and it's 60 miles down. The two schools have played a long history. But I really appreciate Tom Berman understanding, and Tom had a lot to do with pushing the Mountain West towards NDSU, and he just saw the two people that I think they know each other through wrestling and everything else, and CSU's a big game too.
How do you see NDSU transitioning in year one?
Well, I think they're going to do well, but I can tell you it's going to be competitive. There's really good teams that are well resourced, good coaches. Tim's got a great understanding of the league. The other thing that is going to be challenging is travel. And I know NDSU's travel, but when you go to Hawaii, I mean, it's like forever. And, some night games, you're coming back late, but I think some great spots for you guys to go. I think you really enjoy it. But it'll be a good league, make no mistake about it.
That last part about it's going to be forever of getting to Hawaii, I think, is something that he reiterated both on and off camera when we visited with him last Friday. I think it's really interesting as well. You hear it from me here. We talk about what's going on daily in college athletics, specifically football. To hear he's at the tip of this, right? He's getting whatever is coming out. He's right at the forefront of the battles that are happening regularly in college athletics right now. So I appreciate his perspective and sharing just a little bit of what's going on. I think, again, gathering and reading the tea leaves of what he was telling us on Friday, that the 5 for 5 eligibility proposal looks like it has some momentum that could potentially work its way through before the start of the football season. I know we chatted about that yesterday. I was also really intrigued to hear him say about what NDSU Wyoming could be going forward. And I know many are going to lament it as we get closer to football that the Jacks and the Bison aren't going to play in football for the foreseeable future. What's going to be that next big game? I think if the Bison are any good and Vegas stays good, I think there's a potential in that matchup. Obviously, geography tends to say that NDSU and Wyoming have a lot of like-minded principles about their schools, that those could be a potential rivalry game there. Maybe with Nevada, as long as Jeff Choate is going to be there. I don't know if it's a rivalry because the Bison never lost to Choate when he was head coach at Montana State, but there's something there. Maybe with, who knows? Air Force already has rivalry games. Air Force is a rivalry with Colorado State. That's an in-state rivalry game. They have a rivalry with Army. They have a rivalry with Navy. I don't know if they're going to add. North Dakota State doesn't seem like that's a potential
of a new rival there. Northern Illinois now has dumped all of its schools that they used to play, much like North Dakota State. UTEP is sitting out there begging for somebody to find them relevant in football. We'll see. I'm awfully intrigued once the slate comes about, and it's not guaranteed, by the way, because I think some fans are under the misconception that, well, the Bison played these teams on the road, they'll all come to Fargo next year. That's not how it works. The Mountain West will juggle that up, so you might see it like the Bison played in Grand Forks, were scheduled to play there back-to-back years, or other road trips. Like Youngstown State would always come to Fargo for some reason. That may very well be the case in 2027 when we get to see the Mountain West schedule. But first, we got to deal with 2026. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll get you ready for a big Sports Tuesday and a salute to one of the top area golfers. Had a record round yesterday. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday morning. Back with you tomorrow as we already reached the halfway part of the week. Looking forward to our show tomorrow. I mentioned Barika Penna will be here in studio. A few other fun guests we have planned for our program tomorrow. So looking forward to that. I have two last emails I wanted to read before we put a bow on things today. And this last one we probably have time for because I want to give a little bit of runway to it. Dom, youth and high school sports in this metro are not for the faint of heart. Everyone likes to blame crazy parents, but there are plenty of incompetent coaches and administrators as well. It's chaotic on both the private and public side for various reasons. I don't know the Shanley case well, but there are plenty of times when their parent frustration is justified. Just because parents get upset does not mean they are crazy. And I appreciate that email. It's a well thought out, well constructed email. And if I painted that brush yesterday, that's too broad of a deal. And I mentioned it yesterday. I'm not here to dismiss some parents' feelings on issues, whether right or wrong on that. Then they should deal with the coach. That was my point yesterday. It's going over a coach's head to then an administrator. If those concerns haven't been heard or addressed, then it's time to bring one's like. For my example, if someone was unhappy with what I had done or what I reported and I didn't address it, then to go to my boss, then that would make sense. Even though I'd still say, okay, what did I not do to address said concern of what was reported on? In this instance, I'm not painting all parents as bad. That I'm pretty sure I said that yesterday because I do not believe that. I know 98% of them are there to support their kids, but there's the 2% that believe that their kid isn't being played enough, not getting enough attention, certainly not getting recruited enough because they're not playing enough or they don't have the ball. That really spoils it for everybody else. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's the fact on it. And that you don't hear about the 98%. We don't talk about that, right? We hear about the 2% that cause a ruckus. And unfortunately, again, this is the last thing I'll say before we move on. It has been a recurring theme at that particular school. We showed it to you yesterday. It is a pattern that has happened for the better part, at least for me, for the last 8 to 10 years that's been going on there. Appreciate all the feedback today, folks. Really good stuff. Quick shout-out before we do What to Watch to Kindred's Avery Bartels. Yesterday, the North Dakota State golfer posted a career round at the Bobcat Desert Classic in Arizona. Look at her scorecard yesterday. I don't know if we can look at that. We had a double in there, thrown in with an eagle, 4 birdies, round of 67, 5 under. She's leading the way that tournament down in Arizona. We had Maddie Hicks on a couple weeks ago when she was tearing it up. Congrats to Avery in her sophomore season there with the Bison. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. We got Twins in action against the Red Sox tonight in game number 2. The Wild play their finale with the Ducks at 7. And the play-in tournament starts with the Heat and the Hornets tonight on Amazon Prime. As we leave you from the Little League ballpark that is in Sacramento, a catch that defies description in the Rangers-A's game last night simply because the wall is all of about 3 feet tall. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.